up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of This Brother Talks. It is Monday, June the 14th, and we had a great weekend of sports. Well, really, truth, honestly, I'm just really going to talk about basketball today. I want to talk about the NBA playoffs and, just a few topics in that. Like I said, welcome to another weekly episode of This Brother Talks. Anybody who gets on, like I said, like I always say, but it's something that you really need to tell everybody. We appreciate you checking us out. Appreciate you, getting on, having a good time with me, and and just kind of believing in me, because without you, I wouldn't have nobody to talk to. And with that being said, we're going to get straight into things, and we're going to talk about a host of things that happened over the NBA weekend. And I'm going to start out with one, and I had a conversation with some friends about this one right here just a little short period of time ago. We were talking about the Brooklyn Nets and, everything that's been going on with them. So, big question is, can KD get past Bucks without Kyrie and Harden? And me personally, I think that he can. He just has to be in kill mode. He has to personally, take and before I get into that, yes, Aunt Janet, let me go ahead and say this right here. Rest in peace, Jim McMillan. I didn't read up everything on him, but my aunt posted something today. I didn't get a chance to respond back to it, but rest in peace to him. But the Bucks even the series 2-2, and the last time that we saw KD, whenever his sidekicks and stuff went out, he was in Oklahoma City. He played phenomenal, but he just didn't have enough help. It's unfortunate what's going on with the Brooklyn Nets. They've been dealing with injuries all year. But me personally, I wouldn't hold it against KD if they didn't win a championship this year, simply because James is hurt, Kyrie is hurt, if it's just him. But I do think that he needs to get past these Bucks, just for, in my personal opinion, just for his, I ain't gonna say his ego, but like his entire basketball reputation, in my personal opinion. If he can get past these Bucks without these two other stars that he had, that will put like a big stamp on his resume, because everybody has made a big deal about him not being able to win with Russ and OKC, leaving and going to join a 73-win Warriors team, making it unfair, winning championships with them, later on, tears Achilles and then leaving, coming to Brooklyn. So a lot of people put asterisks beside him. Me personally, I don't. But I think this right here will be real big for him, because if he can do it without Kyrie and without James, that would be real big to get past the Bucks, because the Bucks have a very, very, very good team. When it's all said and done, they have a better team than the Nets without James and Kyrie. And in order for them to beat the Bucks, it got to be a lot of ball movement and then a lot of KD, plain and simple. And with the ball, it can't be we just gonna go to him and watch him play and do all this stuff. It has to be ball movement to get back to him, and that will open up the floor for everybody else, in my opinion. Now, he has to be in killer mode the entire time, and I think that the supporting cast has to really step up in order for them to beat them. Best 2 out of 3, I think he can get 2 against these Bucks, and that's my personal opinion. I think he can get 2 against these Bucks. If he can do that, I think that Dinwiddie will come back the next series. Kyrie, it's from what it looks like. I mean, that was a bad ankle sprain, and they said the X-rays are negative. So, but from what it looked like, I mean, just on a guesstimation, it will probably be a week or two before he comes back. They say James is making progress, and but being the star that KD is, I definitely think that he can win 2 out of 3 against these Bucks. And it's going to take a lot of Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni and the coaching staff to get a great game plan together. Um, I thought with Kyrie that the Nets would easily win. I thought the game would be, actually, I ain't gonna say easily. I thought they would win. I thought it would be a tough game on the road, but I thought at the end they would prevail. Kyrie went out in the second quarter, and they didn't play well, and and I think KD took some shots, and it was all him, and so that being said, the rest of the support cast has to be better. They have to, Jeff Green has to step up. Joe Harris has to step up. And in Brooklyn, TC said he think that he's going to get them calls in Brooklyn. Yeah, I think he will too. But yeah, I agree with you on that, Jen. They're gonna try to do. They're gonna be physical with him. They're gonna try and beat KD down. They physical with him, but I think if he's aggressive enough and put it on the referees, that he'll get the calls because he's a superstar. He's one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league. So I do think that that he would benefit from calls. But I just feel like yeah. I agree. He hadn't shot the ball well, but I think that eventually he will. Like he'll step up and knock down shots. And I just think the supporting cast has to do what they're supposed to do. Like just come in, provide energy, do all the little things. Yeah, I agree with you there because they were talking about PJ Tucker getting some fouls. I wasn't able to watch the complete game because I was working on my food truck, but PJ Tucker, he got away with some stuff. They were at home, so he got away with some things, and I don't think that will go well in Brooklyn. And and like I said, they didn't game plan. I don't think Steve Nash them changed the game plan. They didn't adjust properly to me whenever it came to Kyrie going down. They still tried to play like Kyrie was still out there whenever it just really was KD who was the dominant guy, and the supporting cast, just looked to him to do everything. They didn't make a good adjustment, in my personal opinion, whenever it came to that. And that's what he's going to have to do. And even still, whenever this game comes, if he changes his game plan and it start working, and if Budenholzer them decide to go and change some stuff up, he's going to have to adjust. That's one thing Steve Nash is going to have to do. This is where we're going to see like if he got the fortitude to be a good coach or not, because you've been getting a pass because you had KD, you had James, you had Kyrie, and now you only have one because the other two out. Now, granted, I don't think that Kyrie is going to try to play next game. James could possibly come back, but I think that they feel like they can win these two and then save them because you don't want to bring James back too soon. But to answer the question, can KD get past the Bucks? I think KD can do it. I have that much faith in him, and I've been saying it for years. He's a walking bucket. I thought that everybody was talking about LeBron being the best in the world. I always thought KD was better. Everybody make a big deal because LeBron go to the finals and stuff, but KD was the man. In my opinion, that's what it was. And then him going down injury, he comes back and he still looks phenomenal. The way he's been playing and stuff like that. So do I think he can get past him? Yes, I think that he can beat these Bucks. It's just going to take a team effort and a lot of him just being a bona fide star. He's going to have to and if he loses, I'll say this, like I said against LeBron, it has to be one of them things where he just go out and he plays like lights out and they do everything. He do everything to keep his team afloat, but it just wasn't enough because he didn't have the manpower. He didn't have the firepower that he usually has. So I'm looking forward to watching game 5, 6, and possibly 7. But I do think that he can get 2 out of 3, and if those guys don't come back. I mean, it's yet to be seen. They've been kind of quiet about Kyrie today. He took X-rays last night. The X-rays were negative. They said James was making progress. And so, and James has to be really hurting because James Harden, I've been knowing him for years. He don't sit out for games. That's one thing that he doesn't do. He just loves the game of basketball, so he doesn't just sit out just to sit out. There's no load management for him. If he's hurt, he's hurt. So, I'm looking forward to watching these games. And then this right here will tell a lot. Okay, TC, I already knew that. I already knew he was out for game 5. But they didn't say, I mean, they haven't given any details, like as far as the MRI and anything like that. I don't think they found anything because it would have been breaking news and all that good stuff. But not only will this, help KD's legacy, if KD wins these games without James and without Kyrie, what does this say? Chris, yeah, he might be. I think he might sit out for the rest of the series. But I think, and thanks for checking me out, brother. The other thing is, if KD does this and he beats Giannis, 2-time MVP, with the good team that he has, without James, without Kyrie, if KD does that, then don't we have to take a look at Giannis and say something about him? Does this hurt his reputation? Does this hurt his legacy? Anything? Because if you can't beat, this Brooklyn Nets team with your fully loaded team, and they're not fully loaded at all, and they're injury prone, what does that say about Giannis? Because a couple of years ago, 2-time MVP, and everybody was talking about he was going to be the best in the world and all that type of good stuff. But, so all this stuff is yet to be seen. But, you have to raise those questions whenever it comes to it. I think KD can win. So then do we start looking at Budenholzer? Do we start looking at Giannis them differently and all that good stuff? Shouldn't he take advantage of guarding KD? He's running from that problem. And TC, that's the thing. Didn't he win Defensive Player of the Year and MVP in the same year? And yes, I think that he's ran from that because it's not like KD can he can shoot over top of PJ Tucker all day long. PJ can get physical with him and all that good stuff. But Giannis is the same height as KD. He the same height. So I think that he's running from that, and it's kind of scary. I don't know if he want those problems with KD, because if you look at Giannis won Defensive Player of the Year based off of weak side help and all that good stuff. He's not no lockdown defender where he can just sit and guard and all that good stuff. When he has to guard, he's in foul trouble. So that might be the reason why he's running from that. They want to put PJ Tucker on him, and because it used to be before they got PJ Tucker, it was Chris Middleton. And that was a problem too, because, he's not physical enough and he's not tall enough either. PJ Tucker, he's going to be physical. But I think that he'll be in foul trouble. And Chris, I agree with you, brother. I think Giannis is overrated too, because we're playing in a league now where it's based off shooting. And that's something that he hasn't done. He hasn't developed. And I blame it on the coaching staff. I blame it on the shooting coaches and all that good stuff. Problem is, you got a lot of people in this league that, swear up and down they can teach shooting, and half of the damn time they can't even shoot themselves. And I really agree. I really agree with you on that. I think he's overrated, because when the game slows down, what can he do in a half court setting? It's either get up and down the court for him and run and dunk, or it's nothing after that. And so we're gonna move right along, and I'm gonna get off that, and we're gonna move to the Clippers. The Clippers, can the Clippers even the series tonight against the Jazz? I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that the Clippers are gonna go down 3-1 tonight. Simply because I don't know if Paul George can be consistent like he was, can be a consistent scorer and a consistent player like he was last game. Um, I don't know if he can do that. I've lost a lot of faith in Paul George for some years ago now because he tends to do this and like everybody, they get he I don't even know who came up with the nickname Playoff P because I haven't seen that guy since Indiana. And if you look at everything, in Indiana got rid of him easily. He went to Oklahoma City, and they let him go. He wasn't the one to ask for the trade. Um, he wasn't the one to ask for the trade. Russ asked for the trade. They could have easily kept Paul George and built around him or got another superstar and like, boom, this is what we about to do. But they saw the same thing that I've been seeing, that he is not that type of guy. And when the pressure is on, his pipes bust. So if he proved me wrong tonight, I'll be the first to say it. But I don't have faith in Paul George. I don't have faith in the Clippers. And the Jazz has a good team. Donovan Mitchell tweaked his ankle again, but I think he'll be fine. He'll come back. I don't think they have an answer for that guy. And like anybody who steps in front of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Now, Kawhi did a great job in, was it Game 7 against Game 6 and 7 against Luka. He made shots hard for him and all that good stuff. But I don't trust Paul George. My brother Chris says he feel like they're gonna tie it up tonight. I don't know. I think they go down 3-1, and we're gonna end up having a Jazz Suns Western Conference Final. That's what I'm thinking. I think that the two top teams from the West are gonna battle it out. I think the Suns are gonna end up in the finals, but that's another story for another day. But I don't think they're tied up, brother. But can the Clips even the series tonight? I don't know if they can. And then my biggest issues with the Clippers right now is they're not playing Rondo. I don't get that aspect of everything. Like, how is it something personal with Ty Lue and Rondo? Because Rondo plays a big factor in a lot of things. And what people fail to realize about Rondo, it's the difference between Rondo, Patrick Beverly, and what's the other boy name? I got a brain freeze right now. He used to play with the Thunder. Reggie Jackson. That's his name, Reggie Jackson. The difference between them is Reggie Jackson's looking to score. That's what he's trying to do. He's going to score. He's been that type always. And then you got Patrick Beverly. He's just an energy guy. Like, he should really be coming off the bench, just providing a little spark. If you count it down and out, and you need some energy, you bring him in and you do that right there. But Rondo is the type of guy, because some of y'all are real big on stats and all that good stuff, where I look at stats also, but I look at how they get those stats. And I look at Paul George and I look at Kawhi Leonard, and how many easy shots do these guys take? It ain't too many easy shots because they're too busy trying to do stuff one-on-one. And they have to work hard for every shot they take until Rondo gets them in the right positions, in the right spots, in the right, everything. That's when their shots come easier. So I'm not sure what it is about this Clippers team and why they don't play Rondo, because the guy is a natural born winner. He'll get in your face. He'll say some other things. Chris, he didn't play much last series, but he's playing a whole lot this series, because I haven't seen a whole lot of Rondo. It's been more of Patrick Beverly, and he's been playing a lot this last series. Last series he didn't play a lot. It was a lot more Rondo, and I thought when they started playing Rondo after after they, started playing Rondo after game 2 and they went to game 3, they played him, and that was a big difference. Like, that guy, he's a leader. He don't have to score. He will when he has to. He's not a great shooter, but he'll knock down shots when he has to. But he also makes it easier for those guys. He's the type of point guard that would tell Kawhi, get your butt down there. We're gonna get it to you. Paul George, you get over here. We're gonna do this. This is something that Rondo's always done. I mean, you look at the Lakers last year. He saved LeBron down the stretch. The traveling didn't help, didn't hurt him. So they good without traveling. But he took a lot of pressure off LeBron because he's like, you give me the basketball, you get your big butt down court because we gonna need you down the stretch. You don't have to do everything. Let me do this. And I think that's what's wrong with the Clippers right now. And I think it's gonna hit ahead because they can't win with Reggie Jackson trying to be a scorer with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and Patrick Beverly. Like, the guy plays defense. The guy comes and gives energy, and I respect all of that. But the dude is not a starting point guard. And if you had Reggie Jackson, Rondo, and him, he definitely shouldn't be in front of either of those two. Like I said, it's one of those type situations where this guy's sitting on the bench and you just say, oh, he's always ready to play. And if you need some energy, boom, put him in there and you go from there. That's the way I look at it whenever it comes to that. So do I think the Clippers can tie this series tonight? No, I think the Jazz go up 3-1. Now, Donovan Mitchell not 100%, then I have to look at that totally different. And then this is other thing that they fail to realize too is Mike Conley hasn't played. If Mike Conley was playing, because he would take a lot of pressure off of Donovan Mitchell, because you look at them now, Donovan Mitchell is the only one that really can go and get his own shot, get his own bucket. Mike Conley, if he's healthy and he plays, he can do the same thing and also create for everybody else. So, the Clippers are very lucky to be down 2-1, but I think they go down 3-1 tonight. So we'll see what happens with that series. I'm looking forward to watching that tonight. I'll sit up tonight and watch that game. I think it's a game on right now, if I'm not mistaken. And I haven't really talked too much about that series because it's really nothing to me. It's really nothing because I think that the Hawks have completely, ran out of gas. They just ran into a different animal whenever it comes to the Philadelphia 76ers. The 76ers up now 62-49. And I think that they go ahead and take control of this series and they'll go up 3-1 tonight. Trae Young is balling. He's been playing good. Ben Simmons has been making it hard for him. Yeah, Trae Young has been getting his stats, but they've been hard. He had to work hard for all of them. So, that series to me is kind of over with tonight because once they go up 3-1, I don't see the Hawks coming back unless, something catastrophic happens or whatever. So, with that series, the 76ers, I think they go on to the Eastern Conference Finals easily with this series and the way it is. Yeah, I agree with you, TC. The Hawks won a championship already. They got in. They played in New York City, and they had Spike Lee in there and all that good stuff. And then they won game 1 because they were still on that natural high, and the 76ers kind of came in stagnant and and stale and all that good stuff. And so now they woke up. They don't won the last 2, and they, like I said, they're up 62-49 now at halftime. So I think this series will be over with starting tonight because I think they go up 3-1. Chris said Atlanta reminds him of Duke with all the 3-point shots they miss and make. Yeah, but that's the way the league is now. Now, granted, I think Nate McMillan has done a great job with this young team that he has, and all that good stuff. He's done a phenomenal job. And if the Hawks are smart, they'll re-sign this guy and pay Nate McMillan because he really has control of that locker room. I just think that the 76ers are a different animal. They're a different beast, and they're just a far more superior team. But yeah, they take a lot of threes, right? And that's just the way of the NBA now. Like it's almost like everybody want to take threes, and that's the thing. Like I listened to a podcast about with Ray Allen talking, and he was basically saying that over his career, and we know what type of shooter Ray Allen was. He was scored, and late on his career, he turned into just a straight shooter, and he averaged 6 threes for his career. And this is Ray Allen, the shooter. And now you probably have 50 guys just averaging 6 threes a game, and that's that's how it is. You got guys that's it's always just taking threes. That's the thing now. It's threes, and Golden State kind of changed that because that's all they did. So everybody tried to match them, and we really don't play any defense. So the threes, they can just have all of those, and they just take them. And I don't have this topic up, but it did come up earlier in my news feed, and they was talking about um, um, the all defensive team, and I'm about to pull it up real quick. So I'm gonna jump on that real quick. The all defensive team that they had, and this is the big question I had. The defensive player of the year, Rudy Gobert, and other finalists highlight the all defensive team. So you got Rudy Gobert, Ben Simmons, Draymond Green, and Drew Holiday and Giannis Antetokounmpo. The second team was Kawhi Leonard, Matisse Thybulle, Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. This is what I don't understand. How can you have an all defensive team and nobody plays defense? Because if I'm not mistaken, on average, most of these teams average 130, 140 points a game. So how is that any type of defense? Like, I think they should just do away with that award. That award should just be thrown in the trash because you don't have anybody that really plays defense. Who plays defense? Like, who's stopping somebody? Because you can say, oh, these guys play pretty good defense, and you look over and somebody got 35, 40 points. And then I'm guarding somebody and they got 35 to 40 points. So how is that defense? But I can just spill over on that because I think this is just ridiculous what they do now. They trying to hold on to this award and these teams and stuff like that to boost people's pay and all that good stuff, because that's all it does. So it's all in the collective bargaining agreement. If you defensive player of the year, you can get this. If you're on the all defensive team, then you got a chance to get this max contract and this, that, and the third. And I think it's bogus because nobody in the NBA plays defense. It's sad that, we got an all defensive team and a defensive player of the year and nobody plays in the defense. You watch all these games and I promise you, like this game right now that's going on right now, like I said, it's 62 to 49. This thing got a chance to be 124 points and possibly more. I done seen games in the first half where teams have 70, 80 points. So how's that defense? But that's another topic for another day. All right, so we're going to get on the Suns now. The Suns bring the broom on Nuggets. I made a mistake. There we go. All right, the Suns bring out the broom on the Nuggets. That was a very interesting series to me. I love this series. Oh, hold on. Wait, hear me say while I was getting on that real quick. Hear me say, I know guys play different positions, but what do you think about the MVP by the 5 positions? I know they won. Nah, I wouldn't even do that, Henry, because then that just adds more awards to bogus mess, because who truly is a is a center in the NBA, like who's a point guard, because you have people like LeBron that's considered a forward but plays point. So like I don't think about every position that would be a great look. But I'm gonna get on the Suns. That was a great series to watch, and not because it was a sweep, but if anybody love basketball, they gotta love the way the Suns play. Man, they move that basketball. They play together. Everybody know they roll. And to watch Chris Paul, not be injured and showing everybody that, because like I hear a lot of times, they talk about how great LeBron is and all that good stuff. And I do think LeBron is great. But Chris Paul has done a masterful job in going to organizations that, were dead in the water. And then, they go from being dead in the water to, playoff contention, championship contention. Man, Chris Paul has put a stamp on this team along with Monty Williams, because I think those two go hand in hand with each other. And you can see it. Chris Paul loves playing for Monty Williams. Monty Williams loves coaching Chris Paul. And it's something that a lot of people will not see in this right here, because Chris Paul gets a bad rap about a lot. So a lot of people say he's dirty. A lot of people say he talked too much, and that leadership is a little bit too much talkative and all that good stuff. But he's talking, putting you in the right spots. And if you watch them play, he doesn't have to get shots, but he can get everybody else shot. That ball is distributed around, and it just looks like all those guys just love playing for and with each other. They're doing everything, because it's not like Devin Booker is just getting all the shots, or Chris Paul is getting all the shots. And we seen Devin Booker come into his own. Like I watched him, and everybody was making a big deal about him scoring. And I wasn't impressed, because he wasn't making anybody else better. And truthfully, the only thing he was doing was just getting stats. I felt like he was just one of those stat chasers. That's how I felt about it. But I'm watching him now, and the first part of the year, Chris Paul hid a lot of his deficiencies and stuff. But he's coming around like the guy's rebounding now. I've seen times where this guy would take bad shots, but now I'm watching him now, and it's almost like, I'm going to let Chris get me into the right set so I can save myself down the stretch, so I can be, great whenever I need to be. I'll get a bucket when my team needs me to get a bucket. And it just looks like, they just love playing with each other. And the crazy thing about it is, I'm going to talk about this in a minute, because a lot of people don't see this, and they don't look at the whole totality of the basketball game, the whole totality of players and everything else. It is a fact that Devin Booker, that's his team, that he is the best player on that team. That is a fact. But he sees it, and everybody else sees it. Chris Paul is the leader. He's what's going to make everything go and everything just move the way it's supposed to. And a lot of people don't see that. All they see is, Devin Booker had 35, he had 40 or whatever. But how did he get those? Because his shots are coming easier. We was talking about that with the Clippers a few minutes ago. And I'll just tell you, we watched Derek, who's most valuable? You said who's most valuable when it comes to what? What you talking about on the Suns team between Chris Paul and Devin Booker? Is that what you asking? So I'll answer that for you when you tell me that. Answer that question, and then I'll tell you who I feel like is most valuable. And TC, you right. Chris Paul is a locker room changer. Like, he goes in and he changed. We saw what the guy did in Oklahoma City last year. We see him what he's doing this year. They're in the Western Conference Final. And all he's ever had was, he gets to where he's supposed to get to. And then, unfortunately, he gets injured. He had an injury against the Lakers in like the first game or something like that. Second game, first or second, I can't remember off the top of my head. But he hurt his shoulder. He fought through that. And I think that shoulder's getting better because that shot looking better. And yeah, I feel like Chris Paul is more valuable. Like Derek, I mean, because I mean it like people mess up the MVP in my personal opinion, and I'm gonna talk about it in a few minutes. So I'm trying not to discuss that yet. That's gonna be one of my last topics I talk about is the MVP. And everybody made a big deal in this right here about the Nuggets not having Jamal Murray. But here's my big thing right here. The Joker was the league MVP. And everybody will say this right here because if you don't go watch games and you don't watch it for the love of the sport and you just watching people score, then you're watching it. I couldn't watch a game with you. I watch everything. I watch screens. I watch movement. I watch all that stuff. I watch where shots come from. I watch defense. I just pick games apart. That's always how I've been. And I'll just be honest with you. The Joker is a stat whore to me. And you can say I'm crazy, but all the guy do is try to fill the stat sheet. That's all he does. And we make a big deal of it. When I say we, I'm talking about us as human beings, us as sports lovers. We make a big deal of it. Oh, the Joker had a triple-double. Did he? But last time I checked, they were getting their butts whooped. Oh, the Joker was doing this, the Joker was doing that, he fought and did. But that team, and I've been saying this from day one, I didn't like the way the Nuggets played because they played everything through the Joker. I would see this Joker be a point guard, bring the ball down the court. And all that good stuff. So, I didn't like any of that because whenever he left out of the game, what did you do then? Because you can't run the same offense. That's like I could understand having ball movement. Like San Antonio used to have ball movement, and they ran the offense through Tim Duncan. But they didn't do everything through Tim Duncan. And I feel like that's what killed the Nuggets because even with Jamal Murray going out, they still should have been with the MVP. They still should have not got swept. I mean, granted, this Phoenix team was really good, but I don't think they should have got swept because if LeBron or KD or Russ or James, any of those guys win MVP and then get swept, we would have been giving them hell right now. Talking bad about them. They had all type of memes out there about them, just coming up with all types of names for them. And it's time, like, we got to look at the Joe. He won the MVP. If Giannis would have won and got swept, we've been talking, oh, he shouldn't have won the MVP, man. He won the MVP, this, that, and the third. And I don't feel like the Joker was the MVP. I mean, they just made a big deal about it because of stats. Then I feel like the MVP is just is now, it shouldn't be MVP. It shouldn't be. It should be something dealing with points or stats, like, because that's what we go off of. And anybody can have good stats, but, you got to look at everything, how they got those stats, where everything come from. Because, I don't feel like the Joker's stats were all the time meaningful. Like, you can just pick up stats and make yourself look good. And that's what we get from a lot of players now. And, y'all can get mad when I say this. Luka's the same way. But if you look at Chris Paul, you will see why his stats matter because he's doing them in a meaningful way. Look at their team. Look at how they move that basketball. Look at what he did. If you want to see a masterful job of getting somebody a shot, watch Chris Paul because he's getting you shots in the flow of the offense and not because somebody's doubling him or I just got to get rid of the ball because of the situation that I'm in right now. He's going to give you that ball regardless of the situation and get you the best quality shot that you are supposed to get versus let me get the ball out of my hand because I'm getting double teamed and you're just so happen to be open at that particular time. He does everything within the flow where a lot of guys just do it during stat time and all that good stuff. And some of you would not understand that. It'll fly right over your head because just watch Chris Paul. It's not he's finding you because somebody's double teaming him. He's finding you because it's in the flow of the offense. He's getting you the best quality shot. What he's doing with the basketball is picking things apart so he can get, Devin Booker the right shot. All of those other guys the best shot possible that they can get. And so they pulled out the broom on them guys, and I'm kind of glad they did because now, what you said, Derek? You said his mid-range game is one of the best and helps his penetration. Yes, and that's what I tell everybody, Derek. Like, anybody can get to the basket, anybody can jack up a bunch of threes, but the mid-range game is what's missing, and that's what he still has. He still had that mid-range game, so that makes him harder to guard because he can stop and pop. And if he don't stop and pop, he can get to the basket, a little float or find somebody. And then he's evolved with the game and he's able to knock down threes and stuff. So, that's a great point. That's the way I look at it and all that good stuff too. So, but we're going to get to this right here. The real MVP. And I say this all the time. I've been saying this for a couple of years. I have a friend in college. He's been saying it too. We've talked about it. My boy Latroshki, I seen him post it the other day. He beat me to it. And, he know how I feel about it. I know how he feel about it. The real MVP. MVP stands for most valuable player. And that's what other people don't get. Like, just because you have great stats don't make you more valuable because somebody has lesser stats than you. And a lot of guys can get stats. LeBron can get stats, and we'll make a big deal about it. KD can get stats, and we'll make a big deal about it. But those guys have other stars with them and always have other stars with them. So you could sit out some games and you can get hurt, or you can take you off that team, and that team will still be a formidable team. Like if you took LeBron off the Lakers and just had AD, they would have been the Pelicans all over again. They'd been a 7th or 8th seed. They would have made the playoffs. All right. You take KD off of the Nets. They still had Kyrie and James. They possibly still finish anywhere between the top 4 in the East. You take Giannis off the Bucks. They finish, top 8 in the East. But whenever you take this guy right here, CP3 off the Suns, they back to fighting for the 11th, 12th, 13th, anywhere from 10 on back. That guy is the real MVP, and I've been saying this for 2 years now. He's been robbed of the MVP for 2 years. What Chris say? My boy James Harden got beat out in the MVP. Yeah, James did. I have to agree with you on that. But Chris Paul has been robbed 2 years in a row of the MVP. And I'll tell you why he's been robbed. It's simply because basketball heads don't look at basketball like they used to. We look at stats and we look at flashiness. Chris Paul is not flashy. Chris Paul is not popular amongst everybody. You got LeBron, KD, Russ. He's more popular than he is because they do stuff a little bit different than he does. He's a traditional point guard. He's not getting a whole bunch of dunks. Steph get, more notoriety to him because he takes a lot of threes and he make threes and all that good stuff. He's a little bit more flashy, a whole lot more flashy, not a little bit, a whole lot more flashy. So that being said, Chris Paul is the MVP of the NBA. You take that guy last year, the Oklahoma City Thunder were in rebuild. They were in rebuild mode. And you put Chris Paul on there. And a lot of people didn't want him because it was like, oh, he's going to be injury prone, this, that, and the third. This guy said, you know what? I'm not going out here chasing no rings. I'm going to stay here and make the best of my situation. Stay there. Oklahoma City gets to the playoffs. Now, a team that's supposed to be, he took a bunch of, and I'm not going to call the guys nobodies, but whenever I say nobodies, I'm talking about people that it's not household names. It's not household names. He took those guys, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were fourth in the West. In the West. And Chris, you said it best. Popularity is king. That's what it is. And like, we got to stop with these popularity contests because this guy has proven that he is the most valuable player. Valuable meaning that, you know, if I take you off this team, what would this team be like? He did that last year. And then he took a 10th seeded team in Phoenix, and now they were a game or two from being first in the West to the Western, in the Western Conference Finals now. They're waiting for the winner of the Clippers and the Jazz. And you can't tell me that's not MVP caliber. And it's a travesty that his name wasn't even mentioned. Like, we solely look at stats, and the guy's stats look good. But we're so big on the hype of stats. Whenever you look at Chris Paul, he's more valuable than any other finalists that were in the NBA Finals MVP this year. And he showed the Joker, I'm the real MVP. I'm going to go out here and show you what the MVP does. And he was more valuable than any player on the court. Yes, Devin Booker is the best player on that team. But who's more valuable? Chris Paul was more valuable to any player than any player on any team to the Suns. Plain and simple. And I don't know how many people can disagree with that. I agree with you, Hargrove. MVP. Like, nobody wants to say it, and I've been saying it for 2 years. And yes, and we've been saying this for 2 years now. Like, this guy should have been MVP. But here's the big thing with me that I respect more about him. You never hear him complain about that. You never hear Chris Paul complain about it. Like, he goes out there, he does what he's supposed to. If you go and look at every team that he's been a part of, every team, go look at them. They went from shit to sugar. I mean, you know, what LJ say? LJ, I kind of agree with you. I feel like the Clippers would probably give them a little bit of problem because of their versatility, but I think the Clippers are not going to get past the Jazz. But I do think that, you know, if they do it, I think this might be his year. I definitely think this might be his year. I hope it's his year because he always gets a bad rap from everybody else. And TC, what you say? You said that facts. He don't complain. He just perform. I mean, he does it. You never hear him go and say, I should be MVP. I should be this. But he does it. Every team that he's been a part of, from the Pelicans to the Clippers to the Houston Rockets to now the Oklahoma City, then the Phoenix Suns, he's made those teams better. And with this Phoenix Suns team, he is more valuable. Like I said, he is more valuable to the Suns than any other player to their team, because Denver would have been just fine without the Joker, and Jamal Murray is 100%. But you take Chris Paul off that team, and you tell me what happened to him. You tell me what happens to the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns would be a bottom seller, and they will be fighting for one of them lottery balls. That's what they would have been. That's what they would have been doing. Now, granted, they had a good, showing at the bubble and towards the end of the season, but they still fell short. I mean, but this guy's the real MVP. And if anybody disagrees with me and don't want to see basketball for what it is, then you crazy. That guy is the real MVP because he goes out and he does what he's supposed to do. He makes teams better, and his value is higher than any other player in the NBA. It's plain and simple. His value to the Suns is bigger than LeBron's to the Lakers. It's bigger than KD's to Brooklyn. It's bigger than Jason Tatum to the Boston. I mean, period. Nobody shouldn't be able to. If anybody disagree with me, say it. But I'll just tell you straight up that you're wrong. Name one player that's more valuable than Chris Paul, plus has the stats to prove it. He's more valuable than Joker. And it's sad that each year he gets overlooked and he gets overlooked and he gets overlooked year in and year out. And it's all because he's a small point guard that's not doing any dunking and not taking a bunch of threes. He's doing stuff the traditional way of basketball. He's a traditional point guard. I'm going to get assists. I'm going to find people. I'm going to take a mid-range game. We were just talking about that a minute ago. Derek, you were saying something about his mid-range game. That's what people don't like now. They don't want mid-range game. This is what basketball people want now, and I think it's terrible for the sport. It's either dunks or three-pointers. And Chris Paul don't do all of that. He's let me get the best possible shot. Can I knock down a three? Yeah. But I much rather have this corner, this wing shot right here from the corner. And that's what it is. And I hate that he doesn't come up in MVP conversation. If you're not going to give it to him, at least put him in the conversation because he definitely deserves that. And I'm glad because he showed his butt last night. I watched that game and he picked the Nuggets apart and he went at the MVP pick and rolls. And he didn't want to show arm and all that good stuff. Well, I just shoot over the top of you. Let me get right here to this elbow right here. I'm going to take this elbow jump shot. Time after time after time. First time in his career, they said he hit 9 straight baskets in a game. And, I mean, he doing stuff at the age, if I'm not mistaken, Chris Paul, 36. If I'm not mistaken, that's how old he is. Because him and LeBron are around the same age, aren't they? Chris Paul, let's see. We're about to see. I'm going to tell you the exact age Chris Paul is. 36. Just turned 36. And he's playing at a very high level. Yep, he's playing at a very high level. And LJ, that's a lost art, the mid-range game. And that's the reason why Melo had some problems adjusting to the NBA because he was more that type of guy. But Chris Paul just kept going and kept going and kept going. And my thing is, at least mention this guy in the conversation. He has to be mentioned. He really has to be mentioned. Like, it's time out for all that other stuff. Like, get a man his due diligence and his credit and quit going with these guys just because they have great stats and they play every game. And, I think, playing games is a big deal whenever it comes to it, but can't nobody. CP3 should be a 2-time league MVP last year and definitely this year. And I hope that it goes on and that they end up winning the NBA Finals and he gets his due diligence. And it's just baffling to me that he doesn't get that. It's baffling to me that he doesn't get that. He should have back-to-back NBA MVP awards. And I just don't understand it. And so I'm going to part by saying this. I'm going to stay with the Phoenix Suns, and I'm going to talk about their coach, Monty Williams. I had something else to talk about, but as I was going on, I was thinking perseverance. This guy, Monty Williams, played in the NBA for, some years, and he's coached a little while. And he said something very interesting. He was like, during his darkest hour, Chris Paul was there. And during his brightest hour, Chris Paul was there. And you can tell that Chris Paul wants to win for Monty Williams. And for those of you who don't know, Monty Williams was an assistant coach here in Oklahoma City a few years ago. And his wife was killed on, if I'm not mistaken, on the Broadway extension, which is right up the street from where I'm at now. And she was killed in a car accident. And to hear this man speak, at his wife's eulogy, you could tell he was a humble, strong human being. And, Oklahoma City let him out of his contract because of the situation. And this guy persevered through all of this. He went on to be an assistant with the San Antonio Spurs for a little while, and now he's the head coach for the Phoenix Suns. And he's a true testament of never giving up or not letting your situation hold you back. Because his wife was killed in an accident, and it was just him and his kids. And he had to find a way to make sure that they were good, that he was good, because you had just lost the centerpiece of your family and the centerpiece of your life and everything. So I think that him and showing his perseverance and showing that, situations can be bad, situations can look like they are not supposed to be this way, and you can ask a whole bunch of questions on why and this, that, and the third. And this guy has showed true perseverance in this time. Like a lot, I'm rooting for him simply because, one, he's a black coach, and you don't get too many black coaches that can be successful because we have so much pressure on us to win right away. And then for him to go through, and then my brother Chris, he said this real quick. He said, never give our love story. I was talking to Par about him the other day. Yeah, it's just a great story. And if you haven't listened to him speak at his wife's eulogy, I think that you should go and Google it. And then you'll see why I say his perseverance. And you would want for him to win more simply because of the tragedy that he went through with him and his kids and his family, like I said, losing, the rock of their family, his wife. Because a lot of people don't understand this. Whenever you're an NBA coach or you're an NBA player, your wives or your significant others are the ones that really is the backbone of the family, because you're on the road a lot and they have to make sure the kids get to school, make sure the kids get in bed. They have to make sure everything is good. And then whenever you up and move, or, you get traded or, something like that in the middle of the season, they got to be the one to make sure everything goes from one place to the next place. They're the one that really hold everything together. Yeah, you make the money, but they hold everything together. And for him to lose that part of his life, and, and I'm talking about him, his wife is the one that lost her life, but, to him to lose that and have to, because you still got to make a way for your family, and to see him persevering through that. And he made no excuses. He took some time off, make sure his family was good, his kids were good. And I know it's still a work in progress because losing someone is not easy. But I encourage anyone to go and look at his eulogy to his wife, and you would probably root for Monty Williams a whole lot more. And so, in my final word, perseverance is key. You got to keep persevering through the good and the bad, and that's one thing this guy's doing. And I'm loving to see that him being Chris Paul coach when they first came into the league, and now his coach again, that they still have a strong bond. And everyone is human. I agree with you, Chris. When life hits you hard, keep fighting. And that's one thing that he's done. He's kept fighting and he keep going. And I applaud him for that. And I'm rooting for him more and more. So, like I said, if you haven't watched it, go watch Monty Williams. Go look at his story. Go look at his eulogy to his wife, and you will see why I'm using him as showing the perseverance, because, some people could give up. They can go the other direction. Certain things could tear people down. And he used that as a stepping stone to build, things up. So, shout out to Monty Williams, and I hope everybody go and check out his story, because he has a story that will really make you think about, complaining and, all of that good stuff. So, y'all go check Monty Williams out, and you will look at life so much differently. You will understand that, just because times hit you hard, like my brother Chris said, you're a human being, but you just got to keep fighting and, keep your head up. That's one thing that Curly used to always tell me, keep your head up. And that's one thing Monty Williams, he's keep his head up. He keeps coaching, and he's having fun doing it. And I think that his wife is smiling down on him. So, hey, I just want to say, all of you who checked out, chimed in, and participated in my show, I just want to say thank you. I'll be back on next Monday at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, and we'll have a host of other topics and everything that we'll talk about. So, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all week. It's just now Monday, but everybody have a good week, and don't let one little bad situation mess up your entire day, your entire week, because it shouldn't be that way. Just because it's 1 minute of a bad situation, it shouldn't affect your entire day. And Chris, I enjoyed you. I appreciate everything. Hey, y'all have a good rest of y'all night. I'll see you guys next week. Same time, same